Hello, everyone. You can hear me? It's 12:05. I think we can start, okay? It is? Yep. Okay. Welcome to the course Information Technology Project and Computer Science Project, okay? This is combined course 3900 and 9900. And we have only one WebCMS for the course, which is available. We'll take a look today. I'm in the wrong lecture here? Okay. Today we'll take a look at some information, what is the course about. We'll look at some new teamwork strategies we'll be applying in the course. And we'll talk later about some software tools. Just general information today. My name is Tatiana Zrimec, and I will be your lecturer in charge. Also, I will have some tutorials, which means that I will be following what's going on with all the group members and other stuff. Okay, the course email is cs9900CSE. Please, if you can, it was advised that if you have any questions related to the course and also related to me, send to this email. Don't send to my personal email because the school wants to keep record of the conversation and communication with the lecturer, okay? Only in exception, because this is redirected to my email, which means that I will get all emails. But it will be good if you can send your emails with all questions, or we can communicate via WebCMS. But if you have questions, please put them on this email address. Now, the course website is on those two links, and I hope you have tried. Anybody has looked through the WebCMS? Anybody has looked at the WebCMS published? Yes? Okay, there was some, not problems. Some students came to the tutorials, but for some reason, we were not able to start this week, but we're starting the tutorials next week. And I published the information because the tutor has to be approved and allocated, and this week this will be done, okay? Course information. We'll have lectures only a few weeks at the beginning and the last in week 10 at the end, okay? We'll see how many lectures we have, but definitely we have at least 2 to 3 weeks lectures, because we'll have some material and also some people who are providing the project proposals. They will come to explain you a little bit more about the projects, okay? The lectures are on Tuesday, today, and on Thursday. We'll see on Thursdays in different location. We'll see they might be from 4 to 6, or maybe a little bit shorter. We'll see how the things will go, okay? And we have 1, 2, 3, and week 10. The lectures, I hope they are recorded, and you will have access. In case today something is not going okay, I will repeat the lecture and I will record by myself. But it should work everything. For some reason, some students send me that the student from COM 3900, they cannot see the recordings. This is automatically done, and I have to check with the Moodle people why the courses are not linked. Everybody should be able to access the lecture recordings, okay? Consultation, I don't have set it up yet, but I think that on Monday you are freer. Like, most students can attend the consultation on Monday than on Tuesday. I'll check on your timetable, and I publish the consultation hour. Consultation hour will be 1 hour per week, but I will announce in which room, okay, and which day. I think that because Monday most of the tutorials are, which means half of the class have tutorials on Mondays, I think the best will be to have the consultation on Monday, I think. Although you have access to all tutors, to me, because I will be a tutor too, but in case somebody needs something, you can come talk. Okay, laboratories or labs are starting from week 2 to week 10, and there are 2 hours per week in the labs. And we have about 70 labs, and we'll have about approximately 7 to 8 tutors, just to let you know. The problem is with, no, it is the problem. Actually, the university has rescheduled Monday lab, which is on long weekend, on Monday, they are scheduled to week 11. These are the groups we will have in week 11 labs. Laboratory progress demo will be every 2 weeks, which means the week 4, week 6, week 8, week 10, and exceptionally for the groups which are moved to week 11, they will have in week 11. I'll explain during the material presentation what you have to demo on those weeks, but definitely I will ask all group members to be present at those weeks. It's recommended that you are attending the lab every week, okay? And if you have any questions, you can ask and stop me anytime if you like. Okay, what is this project about, or what the work we'll be doing during the project is a capstone software project, which means that students work in teams to define, to implement, to evaluate a real-world software system. The project topics will be announced on the web CMS during the week but not later than Thursday, because Thursday we will be talking about the project. And you will see what description we will provide. It will be a brief and generic description of the project with some requirements will be provided, and also some potential related literature. Although the group should be, when they choose the project, they should do some research by themselves. I uploaded the lectures on the web CMS. The people who will, is everything okay? Okay, fine. Which means I hope you understand this. We are working in groups. No individual. Actually, the main point of this course is to learn how to work in groups and how to be a team member and how to responsibly do your job, and all together to produce some working software, but real-world problems, on real-world problems. Okay. Now, this is from the handbook, how the project is, this course is described, or how the topic is described. A capstone software project is student work in teams to define, implement, and evaluate a real-world software system. Most of the work in this course is team-based project work, although there are some introductory lectures of software project management and teamwork strategies. This is what we'll be talking about. Project teams meet weekly and fortnightly. Now, weekly is recommended that all groups meet at least once a week here, although they have to meet every day wherever they like, but you have labs, 2 hours labs every week, which means that you can meet weekly, but definitely fortnightly for the project demo, progress demo. There will be short demos about how far you have come up, what you have implemented, does it work, you get some feedback from the tutors, and other help what you need. Which means that project teams meet weekly, fortnightly with project mentors to report on the progress of the project. All members need to be present during the project demo, unless something exceptional happens. Assessment is based on the project proposal, a final project demonstration, and report. About this we'll talk more because we have a special document on the assessment. And I will recommend for you to take very careful look at the document, because everything is explicitly stated, but sometimes students don't read and then ask all the time, almost at the end, what we have to do, okay? Which means assessment is already published, we'll take a look, and students are also required to reflect on their work to provide peer assessment on their teammates' contribution to the project. This is something which really will need for you to do, because working as a group, although you will have a group leader and you will have every member have responsibilities, but at the end it will be very good that every group member will evaluate however he thinks the other project members were contributing to the project. Because you will have regular meetings, you will see who is doing what, and you can somehow assess, like somebody was very efficient, did things on time, and was like responsive, following what's going on, or some people didn't even turn up to the meetings, okay? Because we are assigning a group mark, there is a group mark, we have to somehow find out who was working and who did what. Although you will have everybody will have a diary, but still this peer assessment will help us. You will see, there is an instruction how to do this, will help us to find out who was doing in the project what, and if all group members were working perfectly okay, it's fine. But if there are some members which were not correct project members, like they didn't do the job, then it's better not to get the marks of the whole group. This is what is done, what is presented at the UNSW handbook. And what does it mean, the capstone software project? Means that whatever you have learned so far, somehow with this project you will learn how to apply that knowledge and also to learn how to work in groups. This is very important. Wherever you go to work, you won't work alone. You must be a member, you will be definitely a member of some group. And it's good to learn how the groups work and learn how to be nice or efficient group member. Any questions here about capstone project? There are some, proceeding that everything will be done in labs, regular group meetings, more than once per week among the team members. And you will see we'll be using the Agile methodology. Today we'll talk about this. And there are specific instructions how to meet, when to meet, and how often, which means that if you follow this Agile methodology, you will see that you will need to meet at least more than once, maybe even every day for 10 or 15 minutes, just to catch up what's going on and how your progress is going on the project. Weekly fortnight meetings with the mentor, and fortnight sprint demos to the mentor, which means that you will talk about what are sprints and other stuff, but the thing is that every 2 weeks you need to demonstrate some prototype or working prototype, or just to show how much you have implemented and whether this is correctly implemented, whether something is missing. Attendance to lab is assumed, it's actually preferred, unless you can join the lab, and if you cannot join the lab, you can inform the tutor. Because every tutor will keep a record on the attendance, on the group members, and on the progress. Every tutor will have a logbook to monitor your progress and how you are doing and whether you're doing well on the right direction. A few introduction kickoff lectures at the beginning and one wrap-up lecture at the end. This will be week 10. After your hard work will be done, somehow I will know how you're going, and I might repeat some of the things what you have to do to produce a properly written report, or maybe some other important things what I have to find out what are you doing. Like we will see which projects you will select, and on the basis of that we'll see, I'll give you some feedback. As I said, the final report will be at the end of week 10, but we'll see how the things will go. It is very short time, I agree, but from the previous year, all groups managed somehow to finish good products, working products, good working prototypes, I would say, which means that if we need few more days, it's not a problem. But week 10 will be somehow, end of week 10 will be somehow deadline. Okay, this will be published, this is published actually everywhere. Okay, there is no textbook. Slides will be provided, linked to the course homepage, and online resources will be provided. We'll have a lot of online sources. At the end of each lecture, I'm putting interesting links that you can look and you can get more information about the topics we are talking during the lecture. Now, assumed knowledge. Before commencing the course, I hope that the students are able to program in Python or Java or C, C++, okay? They have some experience to finish a project, like they know how to write the program, they know how to compile, how to run, how to test, and how to debug. Next, in the future lectures, we'll talk about the tools we are using. We're using GitHub and Bitbucket for the code, and we'll be using Trello or Jira for the record of the meetings and other stuff. But we'll talk about that, which means that from the students is expected to produce readable code with clear documentation. Please, your computer science or information technology students, you need to learn how to document correctly if you haven't learned by now, but you have to do this time, how to correctly document your code. Because the tutors, at the end, they must go through your code, understand what you have done, and even run the code. And if you do not provide proper documentation, we'll be lost. But also your group members will be lost because you're working in group, everybody will build a piece of software and you have to join this software. Maybe two people will work on the same part of the software, which means that you need to communicate with other group member, which means that if you provide a good documentation, even you will be able to follow what you're doing and what changes have been done and why and so forth. Okay, it's very important, the documentation in the code. Have basic knowledge of database programming, web programming, and or script programming, whatever, like Python, PHP, JavaScript, but definitely will be requirement for the web-based programming because the projects we are offering, they are mostly some assistance, personal assistance, intelligent conversational agent, or something like these tools, which will be available on the web or on the iPhone, on the smartphone. Some of this, which means that this is required. I hope the people who are here have those knowledge.
Can you use some other language like maybe C# or other than Java and can you use C#?
Unless you have to find a group, which means the whole group needs to be comfortable with that language, and also your tutor. It can be definitely used, but with special agreements. Or arrangements, because I don't think that these are the languages you have learned during the education at computer science. Now, if you have learned some other languages, you can, but we have to talk about that. It is recommended. I hope that, do you have any problems with the languages recommended here? Everybody knows at least one of those languages? If you have anybody knows Python? Anybody knows Java, C, C++? If you have come up to the third year in computer science, or if you are a postgrad student, you should have learned some programming language by now. Have you? Good, I hope. Somebody, no, good. For Comp 990 students must be in their final semester of study and have completed at least 72 units of credits towards MIT program, whatever is required. This is from the handbook. I got some email of students asking me how many credit points they have to do and why. This is nothing to do with me. This is a university or the school requirement, which means that if you have such problems, contact the school, the student center. They will be able to tell you whether, if everything is okay, if you have less unit of credits or something else. These are the requirements, and please, the people who are enrolled, they have to fulfill those requirements. And for Computer 3900 students must have successfully completed COM 1531 and COM 25121 or COM 1972. I hope the people who are here, they have done that. Be enrolled in the Bachelor of Computer Science major and have completed at least 120 units of credit to make sure that the student is in their final year. Okay? How many of you are students from 3900? Can you raise the hand? Okay, and are you okay with those requirements? Like you're in the final year, you have done everything, because look, if you don't fulfill the requirements, maybe you won't be able to be assessed. Actually, maybe we won't be able to give you a mark. Make sure that you comply to the requirements. It's not my job. I mean, for me, if you're doing the job, it's fine, but whether we'll be able to give you a mark, okay? And the rest are from, I hope that the rest are 9 and 00, okay. Learning outcomes. Actually, if you don't mind, we'll stop here and we'll jump to the Web CMS because we have all of these things on the Web CMS web page. Let's go and then we'll proceed here. Let's go what the Web CMS is saying. Okay. Come on. Okay, this is our Web CMS course page. The course outline. Okay, we have the home, we have course outline, and we'll go through the course outline. We have coursework. We have lectures. You're supposed to, okay, I'm not logged here, sorry, I have to log in. I didn't see that. And I have here, not here. I apologize for this. Oh, don't save. Don't save, no. Okay. Okay, hopefully now we'll be able to, because this is public, the course outline is public, and this will look later. Now let's look at the course outline. You have course details, like everything what is in this first lecture is already on the course outline, is available all the time, okay? Which means nothing unknown if you look at the lecture, so you look here. Okay, now, about the tutors, mentors will be, by the end of the week, all mentors will be entered in the WebCMS. Currently, some of them, only 2 are approved, the others we are waiting, okay? Class timetable, I hope you or everybody has access to this. These are the lectures, as we said, Tuesday and Thursday. And then you have labs, as I said, we have 17 labs. And you should be able to, definitely you already have assigned to some of the labs. Now, let's go back. Not here, okay. Course outline. Now, what we have, course summary, okay. In the course summary is again about what is the project about, the capstone project, whatever we discussed so far, that you're working in groups, as we said. Assume knowledge is also stated clearly here. Then you have the requirements separately for COMP 399 and 990, exactly the same as in the lectures. And then we have student learning outcomes I have put in the lectures, but also here, and we can take a look. After successful completion of this course, students will be able to work as an efficient member of the team, which is really one of the main goals. Of a team to develop software project. Also, you have to be able, as a team, group member as a team, but as a team, you need to develop a software project with a real-world application in mind. Okay. Develop strategies leading to the development of high-performing self-management team. It's very important to learn how to be a high-performing and self-management member of a team. Develop skills to handle team issues during different phases of software development. There will be some, but there are ways how to resolve the issues. Communicate effectively, orally and writing with peers, mentors, and supervisors and lecturers as stakeholder. Which means that you need to have meetings, but also you have to be able to explain what you're doing, and also you're keeping diary. Of every member of the group must keep his own diary. We'll repeat this few times, I hope you remember that. And then you are talking with your supervisor, your mentor, and then with me, with the lecturer. Appreciate and be familiar with the role of the project management in software development. One of the group member will be group leader, actually Scrum Master, but we'll talk about that, which means it is good to learn how you can manage the software development process. Produce clear and comprehensive software project proposal and report. First, you need to prepare the software project proposal, and then you work on the project, implement, and at the end, you report what you have implemented. Also, you provide the code. Participate in a group presentation, demonstration, and listening with mentor, and liaison with mentor and stakeholder, which means the important thing is that you are present at the final presentation and all intermediate demonstrations, which means the weeks 4, 6, 8, and 10. Use relevant software tools to support effective software management. Any questions about this? We hope that you will achieve these outcomes at the end. Okay. Now, we have, this course contributes to the development of following graduates' capabilities. Graduate capability scholars capable of independent and collaborative inquiry, rigorous in their analysis, critic and reflection, and able to innovate by applying their knowledge and skills to the solution of the novel as well as routine problems. The projects we are preparing are very interesting, and they are, I would say, kind of state-of-the-art, interesting projects, like what is happening in general, which means that the project will be really interesting, and if you know how to, if you work on the project with your heart, you will develop something useful. Even can be useful for later usage for you, as a group or as a member. Entrepreneurial leadership are capable of initiating and embracing innovation and change, as well as engaging and enabling others to contribute to the change. This is entrepreneurial leaders. There will be group leaders. We'll see which are those. And they actually learn how to lead a group, and they have to be responsible for the group. And professionals capable of ethical, self-directed practice and independent lifelong learning, and global citizens who are culturally adapt and capable of respecting diversity and acting in a society just and responsible way. Okay. Teaching strategy, as we said, there are lectures, tutorial labs, and project demonstration. Teaching rationale, you have to learn to focus, learning focus in this course is primarily on team-based software project, as I said, and then for students to practice their skills and knowledge in a real-world teamwork setup. The course will have an emphasis of the practical software development skills in a teamwork environment, and students will learn the basic content of software project management through introductory lectures and some tools. Now, you have to read about student conduct by yourself. Then you have web page on plagiarism. Please read. Then you have a page on, okay. Then you have UNSW plagiarism procedure. Please read this. It's very important. If you use anybody piece of code or written published document, whatever you're using from other people, acknowledged, you can use it. You can express with your own words, but you have to put a reference, where did you get this information from? Only reference at the end, or just acknowledge the source, nothing else. And we can't expect that you are doing completely new stuff. Definitely you will reuse already existing stuff and upgrade, update, change, improve, but acknowledge the people who have started the basic ideas. It's very important. This is actually a culture, or every I would say, research or project development member of a group. Okay, then we have assessment. Assessment, these are, I just put week 3, week 10, because we will publish exactly the dates. First, we have project proposal. We expect to have, at the end of week 3, the project proposal defined and submitted. Only one group member will submit the project proposal. Only one group member, not everybody, please. Then we'll have project demo. Project demos will be project demo, the final project demo will be week 10. Lab time. And then software quality will be assessed, and participation records and peer assessment will be also assessed. Now, the marks are for the project proposal. We'll take a look in the assessment page. Project proposal is 10%. Project demo will be 15%. Project demo actually is a PowerPoint presentation and a quick demonstration of the software you have developed. Then we have software quality will be assessed on the basis of the UNSW or CSC rules. Now, if you go back to WebCMS, we are in WebCMS, okay. If you go here to assessment, no, sorry, project, it should be the assessment page. Okay, here, please, can I just view in the browser? Yes, please, Bill Betten. Please, this is very detailed document, how the assessment is done. It's very important for you to read and follow the instructions. What you have to do, an overview of the assessment items are described below. Work diary. Remember, you need to keep a work diary, okay? And this is exactly explained, or actually directions, or instructions how to prepare a work diary and how to submit it and where to submit it, okay? From week onward, actually from week 2 further on, you're keeping work diary, unless you form a group today. Okay, week 1 and week 2 will be forming the groups. I'll talk about that. And You should also include in your diary the GitHub or Trello account to following information will be provided. What was planned for the period since the last work diary entry and what was finished and what are the main technical, non-technical and so forth. You have very clear instructions how to prepare the documents. This is a work diary. This is one. This is assessed together with the project at the end. Now, the next will be the project proposal. Again, very clear description how the project proposal should be look like and how should be prepared and how many marks you're getting for what, okay? Project proposal is, this will be usually by Friday week 3, but if you need more time, we'll change this date, okay? We'll see how the things will go. It's 10% and each team master students will choose a project from a couple of possible projects with fixed domain and scope. Students may propose a project by modifying one of a given sample project or propose their own project as far as it is within the given scope and of similar technical depth. We'll have approximately 6 project proposals, project topics. If you have something similar or if you have really in mind some interesting project, you can tell us and we'll see how we'll go with that. But I will recommend if you can choose some of the topics we are proposing. Because we have a lot of experience with those topics, we can help you. Now, group formation. Our group will be ideally of 4 members, please. In exceptional cases will be 3, but it is good to have 4 members because one of those 4 members will be a group leader and 3 will be the group members. A group will be formed of students in science. A group will be formed by students within the same lab with the lab of the mentor. However, an extra member may be added to a group by the mentor if the group has only 3 members. We see now, try to form group of 4, but if you have smaller groups, maybe in the class there are some students which cannot find group, and then the tutor will help you. What is important? Please do record your group in the Web CMS. In the Web CMS, you do have a CMS. You have a place where you can put the, okay, not that one, the second. Should be here. Wait a minute. Should be here. Second. No, I don't want this. Okay. How can I go back? Oh, sorry. I have to go back to my Web CMS and I lost it. Okay, what if I close this? Cancel. It's only one tab. Not you. Come on. I'll go again to Web CMS for some reason I can't come back. Should be here. Okay. You have here in the groups, you have, okay. There, I hope there are groups from this year. Are they? Please give a meaningful names of your groups that it will be easy to keep track when we in our diaries. And I hope that you have done this. Anybody recognizes these groups? You go in Web CMS on groups and you create, one person creates a group, give the name, group name, and then other members are joining the group, okay? And then we'll have a record of the group. Okay, let's go back now to the, okay. We have the course outline. Okay, we come to the assessment. Yep. And we said we are going to the second. We are going to the project, and we're going to guidelines. Okay, which means the proposal. Okay, go view in the browser. I didn't come back. With the project proposal, it's very well described what's supposed to be done. Like the roles, each group should have a Scrum Master. Scrum Master will talk about that. And 3 or 2 developers. Their responsibilities are discussed in the lecture. We'll talk about what is the responsibility of each group member. Note that those roles are for accountability. We expect that all members should be involved in coding. All members should be involved in coding. Now, one group member will be the group leader, and because the Scrum Master will do some admin work, like he have to organize meetings, he have to keep track whether everything is recorded, sent to GitHub and other stuff. He will have some admin responsibility. Maybe he can have less coding, but please try it will be good that every good member does coding, some coding, and you agree which member will do what. Okay. Then we said the Scrum Master may contribute marginally less coding, 10% less, not more, and because he will administrate the GitHub and Trello. The proposal should be self-contained and should have, and please, when you prepare the proposal, look at those points. A title page, at least 4 pages long. We prefer 12 points if you want, PDF format, and then when you submit the proposal, the proposal will be marked. And the marking criteria is also here set. Technical depth of the project and its scale, which means that you have done some research, what was done about this topic, what exists, and then you propose your stuff, like what you plan to do. Then background, the problem domain, existing work system, and drawbacks. You can talk about if there are existing systems and what's wrong. And then epics, a list of I would say, epics, which means describe the chunk of things we want to implement. At least 3 epics and their brief descriptions. The scope of each epics, we'll talk about this, we'll give you examples how those epics should look like and how they should be presented in the project proposal. The size of each epic and the final selection, like you can have more epics, like more components, what you want to implement in the project, but you can select only few that you think they're doable during this to be finished by week 10. The final selection of the epics based on sizing for the final deliverables and their justification. You have to say why you have chosen those epics. And the selected epics will be delivered and demonstrated during the final project demo. Okay, epics and later user stories are expected to be captured using GitHub, Project Board, or Trello, which means that you have to keep track of what you have proposed, send the proposal, but also to keep track, plan on what you plan to do. Okay, there is a possibility of having a joint group project. Means that 2 groups have selected one topic, and they divide like one group will do this part of the project, another group will do another part of the project, but the group have to be within the same lab because the tutor has to be able to work with both groups, and the project part should be complementary, which means that one group, like if the project it is possible to be divided into 2 components, big components, one group is working on the one component or the other, and then at the end they join, which means that you can do like more extensive work or more sophisticated, you can develop more sophisticated project, but they have to be in the same lab, and you have to let us know, and we'll talk about that, how we can manage, okay? Now, okay, when marking the joint project, there is a way how to mark this joint project, okay? Now, the project proposal is marked 10 points, okay? Then we have final deliverables. Again, I won't go through all of these because I wanted to, first I read carefully the project proposal just to show you where the things are, and please read by yourself and keep note how those things should look like, because although we repeat few times, and in the labs we will repeat, the students are still sending completely, I would say, not appropriate project proposal. That's why please keep track on what is suggested. Then we have final deliverables. They will be 15% is, as I said, the demo presentation. Again, how the demo should look like, how should be, where should be published. And then we have the assessment of the technical quality and completeness of the project demonstration. Demonstrated, this is taken from the CSC assessment criteria for project thesis or 4th-year thesis, which means that it's fair, it's working, and it's check, like we know how that this way of marking works. Then you have project report is, this is at 15%, and we have what has to be included in the project report. All components, please. Definitely also description of what you will be doing and how you have implemented the things, and also references of the all used software. Whatever you're using in your project must be listed here in the references. Then we have to also assess your overview, functionalities, implementation challenges, user documentation manual, and document presentation, title, page, and references. Means that the whole project report will be assessed differently, and you have exactly how many marks you're getting for each component, which means that please read the instructions and follow when you write the project proposal. The software quality will be also assessed, is also 40%, and in the software quality, we also have the marking scheme, technical depth and novelty, correctness, performance, we have to run the code styling, structure, and reliability, and, readability means the documentation, and interface and usability, which means a 50, 30, 10, 10. Read how they are done, and on the basis of this assessment, we are giving you final mark. And in the final mark also we have the participation record and peer assessment. As I said, every tutor we are keeping a diary of our groups, how they progress, what they are doing, every member what has presented, which means that this participation record is based on these 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks, like when you have project demonstration, then this is entered in the tutor record. But peer assessment is at the end, and also we have information how to prepare the peer assessment. When we come to this stage, we'll again repeat everything to you, and I hope everybody will know how to do this. But as I said, everything is very nicely written here. Please read, okay? It's very important. Any question here? Is it clear enough? Okay? When you have questions, you can ask the tutors, or you can ask, you can put some question. Yes? Again?
Are there only 2 mentors? Do we have from here to choose?
Sorry. Group mentors?
Yeah.
We have, no, for each lab, we have a mentor who will have few groups, which means the tutor, whoever will be in the lab, will be your group member, mentor. Okay? Any other question? Now, if you want to change the group, but let's start again. If you want to form a group with members which are in different labs, what you have to do? You have to find a corresponding number of students from the other lab that you can swap, and you have to tell me, okay? You can change, like if you have two members in one lab and 2 members in another lab, you can form a group, but then you have to find somehow other people who are interested to change the lab. If not, you can't. Try to form groups with the members within the lab. But if you want to change, it has to be done as soon as possible, and please find your corresponding person with whom you will swap. Because the number of students within the lab must be the same. Okay, and the changing of the group formation will be finished by week 2, which means that by week 2 you have to dedicate to a group you want to be in. Okay, and no changes after that. And you have to tell me. Okay, Assess Magan, we got COSA. I think this was the last thing what we want to say about assessment was, yeah. Then course schedule, okay. As I said, we see how the things will go, but we'll have this introductory lecture. Then on Thursday, I'm expecting that the people who are proposing projects, they will come to talk. If not, we will talk about the project topics on Thursday. Then next week, we'll talk about the Agile Software Development, Software Management Overview. And then the week, either Thursday or week 3, we'll talk about some other software development methods overview, because some students, from experience, some students are not very familiar with the way how they have to prepare material to be useful for the group work. You need different techniques. One of these is UMS, Unified Modeling Language, diagrams and techniques. And at the end, we have the final wrap-up lectures. Okay. Resources for the students, as I said, there are no specific textbooks, but there will be a lot of links to the pages where you can find everything what you need for the Agile software development, from the Scrum software development strategy, and for everything what you need. And also for the topics you have selected. Course evaluation and development, it will be good if at the end of the week 10, you provide your experience, because we'll get your feedback on the course delivery. Okay. Any questions for the course outline? Okay, course outline, we should come back. And as I said, we have this about the course. And then the lectures are here, will be published because they are changing as we go. All the time we are adding new stuff. Today you have your lecture, but then we'll have this will be moved for the next week. And the projects will be here, but they are not visible now. You have question and answering forum, and then you have other forums. We have to see. Now, on those forums, sometimes some of the tutor will reply, sometimes I will reply. It will depend who will be available. Then you have the timetable, and as I said, please, groups. You have to form the groups. The tutors will be assigned, and everything else will be sorted out. Okay, this is about the WebCMS. Any question about WebCMS? If not, we'll proceed with the presentation, but let me check the time. Ooh, we are just about to 5. Okay. Okay. We look through this. The learning outcomes are already presented in the course outline. That's why I won't repeat them again, but you have them in this lecture. Which is very important. The first one is be an effective member and part of the team to develop a software. Then no written exam, as I said, and assessment is exactly the same. Again, here you have that day, as I said, the dates are set like this, but they can be changed as we go. We'll see. They will be published on time. Okay, team-based project, and each team has ideally 4 members, remember that. And then we'll talk about the Scrum methodology, and actually we'll talk about the Agile methodology, especially the Scrum methodology. Okay, if you don't have any questions, maybe the best will be now to have a break, then we'll proceed, maybe 10 minutes break, then we'll proceed with the second part of the lecture, okay? Any questions? No? Fine. Break 10 minutes? Agreed? Fine. Then I think I have to mute. No, I have to see. Okay. Fine. Can we proceed? Okay. At this course, we plan to talk about the modern methodology for software development. I hope the people who are leaving the lectures, they know about Agile methodology. Anyway, okay. We'll talk about Agile methodology and especially for Scrum methodology. This is a very popular and modern software project development methodology. I just want to tell you something because there are a few questions whether the students from 9900 and students from 3900 can be a member of the same group. They can, but they have to be in the same lab, okay? You can mix undergrad and postgrad members of the group if you need. But they have to be in the same lab if you want to change without. Okay. Let's see what is this about. Anybody knows about Agile software development? Have heard about Agile software development? Have you used Agile software development? No? Yes? Okay. It's about, what about incremental and iterative approach of software development. Why this is happening? Because currently the project process development is all the time under pressure to finish as quickly as possible, and all the time there are changes. And the classical methods of software development are not working very well. That's why there are new methods, and we'll take a look at some of those. As I said, classical methods of software development have many disadvantages. How many of you knows about some classical software development methods? Let's say waterfall, or I don't know, the iterative methods. Anybody knows about some other old software development methods? Anybody have learned about software development techniques? No? Okay. What is interesting that the classical software development method among the first was waterfall. They put a huge effort on planning the project at the beginning, then preparing a lot of, huge effort during the planning phase. Poor requirement conversion in a rapid changing environment. They have decided this they want to develop, and they won't change what they want to develop till the end. If they get any requirements in the middle, they cannot include the requirements in the software. That's the problem. Because there are other older methodologies, and like in 80s and 70s and 80s, the software development was new, and the groups have time, like 6 months to develop some product. Now we don't have time, everything is very quickly, and all the time we have to accept the new changes. Then the old software development was, the problems were that treatment of staff as a factor of production. The people who were members of a group, they're like a group for producing software, and that's it. The new methods are Agile software development methodology, and it's very popular, and it's frequently used in the startup companies or any these young companies with small number of people, but they can group and work very efficiently. Now, what is Agile? Agile proponents believe current software development processes are too heavyweight or cumbersome. They are. Too many things are done that are not directly related to the project. They keep track of very precise documentation and other stuff, but they cannot accept changes. And yes, many things are done related to the software products being produced, but not they're not relevant for the project. Current software development is too rigid, difficulty with incomplete or changing requirements, short development cycles, internet applications, and more active customer involvement is needed. Why the short development cycles? Because usually we have always shorter and shorter time. The requirement are to develop something working very quickly. And what is interesting, the recent software development methodology put a lot of effort on the customers. All the time, the customer is involved in the software development because the customer leads the development process or direction. And in general, Agile, what is Agile methodology? It's like a circle, then you have requirement, you get the requirements. First you have a project, then you have requirements analysis, then you have design, development, test, deploy, review. And this is a step-by-step in cycle until you finish a whole project. And in any of those components, you can incorporate changing requests or changing issues. Now, agile methods are considered as lightweight, people-based rather than plan-based. A lot of effort is put on the teamwork, the team effectiveness, and how everybody communicates between themselves, plus what the user or what the real world needs. Several agile methods exist. There are not single agile methods, but extreme programming, Scrum, and we'll talk about Scrum. And there is no single definition. There is an agile manifesto, which is defined like what's supposed to be in agile technology. This is by the Agile Alliance. I'll show you some of the documents of that. And in the Agile Manifesto say that a statement of values. What is here? Individuals and interactions over process and tools. Before, there was a lot of effort put on which processes should be used and which tools should be used. Here we have individual interaction, constant interaction between the team members. It will be much more efficient in the software production. Working software over comprehensive documentation. In the previous methods, you have to provide a very comprehensive documentation. It takes about, as I said, few months to produce a working software. Here, the point is to produce the working software as soon as possible. In every iteration, you have working software, and then you document it, but it's not very comprehensive, as much as you need. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Customer collaboration is very important because they help you to develop or produce useful software or whatever application need. And responding to change, which is very important, over following a plan. You can have a plan at the beginning. Definitely, you need to follow the big picture plan, but you must be prepared to accept all changes which are coming along. And responding to change is more important than the big plan, because very often in the real world happens that the customer cannot tell you everything what they need, but when you start to implement something and show to them, they will say, aha, we need this and this, oh please can you add this? And the software development team should be able to incorporate those requirements in the software to be able to satisfy the customer. If not, the customer won't use the software. I don't know whether you know about this or not, but there are a lot of I would say, big software companies which produce general purpose software, which is very difficult to be applied in any company because they are very general purpose, and when they try to apply into a working, like in a company, they have to do many changes to adapt the software to the company. And what is happening, often the company doesn't want to use that software. One example which I was present was that in the hospitals, they bought the most expensive software for patient record management. Because this was so general and developed nicely, they had all possible features, was useless. The hospital members refused to use the software because it was too time consuming to learn how to use the software and too much effort to change the software, which means that you need to work with the customer, with the customer user, and make the software that will be usable, useful, not just to be nice, okay? That's why it's very important responding to change. As I said, here you have the manifesto, and maybe at the end I'll show you the manifesto. We have a link on that. Now, agile methods, you have different methods, as I said. Then you have Scrum, extreme programming, adaptive software development, dynamic system development methods. They're all similar methods, but they have all their processes or their defined ways of how they're performed. And Agile Alliance, this is on this web page, they have very useful information about Agile methodologies, and they have also good explanation of the Scrum method. This is a not-profit organization, promotes Agile development, and you can find very interesting and useful material. Scrum, it's like where this comes from. But Scrum in a minute, what does it mean? It means that you have a component of a Scrum is you have roles, you have artifacts, and you have ceremonies. And you can take a look here. You have, let's say, the artifacts are product backlog. You have a product what has to be implemented or finished. Then you have a stack of things which have to be done. Then from this product backlog that you have to do this, this, and this, and this. Like the product owner has defined what has to be done, and then you can take a piece of that list of things which have to be done, and then try to do the sprint backlog. Burnout charts implemented in English, like sprint backlog. You go to the sprint, and you try to implement actually requirement, design, implementation, and testing, piece by piece. And when you finish one part, you just immediately put as a finalized product and show to the user. And if the user is happy, it's fine. If he's not happy, you rotate unless you finish the part of the sprint. Then you go to take another piece, and this is like the very quick cycle of how, or short description of how this Scrum works. And you have, usually you have roles. You have product owner, you have Scrum Master, and you have team with few members. Then you have, as I said, the artifacts are either product backlog. Then you have the sprint backlog and product increments. The product increments like how when you deliver, when you test and deliver working products, they're coming to products. And you have ceremonies. These are actually the sprint planning. What is the smaller piece of work it can be done and implemented and tested, and as working component will be out. Then we have the ceremonies have sprint planning, daily Scrum, and sprint review. We'll take a look at all of this. And I said here we have links for more information. Scrum in 100 words. Scrum is an agile process that allows us to focus on delivering the highest business value in the shortest time. And actually, as I said, this became very popular because we have a lot of small companies that can be startup, can be small companies, but they have to very quickly develop something and be competitive on the market. It allows, and they use agile technology. Actually, this is the way how everything was developed. It allows us to rapidly and repeatedly inspect actual working software, which means that parts of the software is implemented and tested. And usually this is done every 1 week, 2 weeks, or from 2 weeks to 1 month, which means every few weeks. It depends now how quickly you're working. In our case, we'll have every 2 weeks, we'll have to produce software, part of the software which works, okay? The business sets the priorities, which means that when you develop the project backlog, you put priorities, what is more important and which must be done first. Our team the team is self-managed to determine the best way to deliver the highest priority features, which means that when you make a plan and order the things, how they have to be done, the group decides how this can be implemented as quickly as possible. Every 2 weeks to a month, anyone can see real working software and decide to release it as it is or continue to enhance for another iteration, which means that you not quickly, within 2 weeks, you have time to implement something, and then you test and show to the user and see whether this is what the user had in mind. And if it's okay, then this part of the company is done, then you're going to the another one. If not, you can add the changes and proceed with another cycle. History of Scrum, it's began in 1993, and there were some people who were not very happy with the way how the software development was working. Analysis of common software development process, not suitable for empirical, unpredictable and non-repeatable processes. We live in very quickly changing environment, and it's unpredictable. Like maybe this year something will be very popular, very, very on demand. In few months or next year, it will vanish. Something else will come new. And then your team need to be able quickly to adapt to the changes and change from one software, let's say, outcome to another. Design a new method, Scrum by Jeff Shetland and Ken Schwaber. And what does it mean? The enhancement of Scrum was done later with Mike Bendel, and they published the first paper in 1995. And this was the Scrum development process. And actually, officially, since then, since this conference, Object-Oriented Programming System, Language and Applications, was officially published, and people were getting excited, start to test and use, and actually, it was become very popular, and in 2001, publication Agile Software Development with Scrum was also done, and it became very successful approach. Successful application of Scrum in over 50 companies, founders and members in the Agile Alliance. They are all founders and members of Agile Alliance. They saw that this is very good. Agile methodology with Scrum is very useful, and they did this developed this Agile Alliance web page where you can find all people who want to use Agile technology can find for free all information they need. How Scrum works, as I said, but this is another picture. Like, you have definitely a product. You have product backlog, which means that you have a set of things you need to do. I hope that you have done some projects so far by now, and you know that when you define the project, you make a list of things which must be done. You prioritize this list. You order the list, like which things have to be done first and which later. Then from one thing, like one component of the backlog comes to the sprint backlog, which means that you have a sprint. In this sprint, you define, again, divide or subtasks. Every member tries to implement whatever he needs to be done. And within 2 or 4 weeks, they will working on the software, but they will meet every day. They will have very short meetings, but every day, regularly. And we'll see what they have to do in this, which means daily Scrum meetings. Then you have this demo every 2 weeks. And then if everything goes okay, potentially shippable product increment, which means that when you finish the part, you're putting it the place where the product, like the software is working, and which means either you're waiting for other components or you can just ship that one. Okay. Sprints. We'll talk about sprints today. We'll talk about sprints on the and how to define them on the tutorials, which means that it will be good for you to understand what exactly is required to define a sprint. Scrum project makes progress in a series of sprints. It's actually a chunk of work has to be done, which is like if you have the project backlog, like task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, every task can be a sprint. But it should be big enough, not too big, not too small, but to be able to be finished within 2 weeks, which means you have to decide how big the sprints are, what you can put in, that you are sure that within 2 weeks you will be able to produce something working. Target duration is 2 weeks, plus minus a week or 2, but a constant duration needs to be better written. It will be good if you can divide somehow your backlog or what product backlog into such components that each component can be a sprint, and sprint can be equally long sprints. Every 2 weeks, the sprint will be tested. Product is designed, coded, and tested during the sprint, which means each sprint is actually a small cycle of requirement analysis, design, implementation, testing. Every sprint is a circle of like small project. And it's easier if you divide the big project into smaller parts and to implement each and test, and then have ready components, then start like all components at once. You can't. And this really shows that it's very good, under control, and you can keep track of how your progress is done, like whether something is going wrong, immediately can change, and so forth. Which means it's working because it was tested in many companies. Sequential of overlapping development. The classical methodologies were sequential. You develop one part, like you have 6 months for design, requirements analysis, 3 months of requirement analysis, 6 months design, then you have coding, then you have testing, but they are not overlapping. You have to finish the requirements, finish the design, and then you test at the end. And you can't, if you change something, you come back. But here, this is the, let's say, waterfall or other methodology. But here in the Scrum method or Agile methodologies is that you run the process of requirement analysis all the time, almost to the testing. Then you have the design, which they are overlapping, which means that as you go with the requirement analysis, you do the design, you do the coding, you do testing, and they can be overlapping because you incorporate new requirements inside, which means that they're overlapping developments, and at the end, you're doing the testing. Eventually, within 2 weeks, you're supposed to be testing, like the coding and testing should be successful. No changes during the sprint. It is expected that you have defined a sprint, and this is, I think, what you decide to do, and try not to put, like, not to change your plan of the sprint. You can, like, you have some inputs to the sprint, and you can have some changes to the sprint, but the sprint, what has to be done should be defined. And then at the end, you have tested code. Plan sprint duration around how long you can commit to keeping change out to the sprint. Like, you have to implement something, and then maybe you can adapt, improve, change features, but you don't change the big picture of the sprint. Okay, so we said the components of the Scrum: roles, artifacts, and ceremonies, and we'll go through all of these. Scrum framework. Scrum framework is composed of roles, ceremonies, and artifacts, as we said. And in the roles, you have product owner, and we'll take a look at each of these, product owner, Scrum Master, and Scrum team. Ceremonies they include sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and daily Scrum meeting. Then you have artifacts. You have product backlog, which means a product backlog. Then you have sprint backlog. From product backlog, you create sprint backlog, and then you have burnt out chart, which show you how you're progressing. Actually, burnt down chart shows you how many hours or days you need until you finish the product. Okay, who is the product owner? This is all defined by, like, for Agile technology and Scrum in a bigger company, which means they define the features of the product owner defines the features of the product, decide on release date and content, then be responsible for the profitability of the product, like return on investment. He's the one who's supposed to know how the product will be sold out, or how to be competitive. Then prioritize features according to the market value, adjust features and priority every iteration as needed, and accept or reject work results. Okay? Now, the product owner means that a person who knows about the product, or he has designed the product. He knows everything about the product. And he's the one who also knows, he has done like analysis of the market analysis. He knows how the product will be sold out. He knows who will be the user. He knows how to divide. He knows he knows many things about the product. That's why he is the one who prioritizes the features according to the market value, and then adjust the features and also accept or reject results because he knows what has to be done. The Scrum Master remove obstacles that keep the development team from working at their highest capacity. The Scrum Master actually is the team leader, and should be, when you form a group, try to find a person who has managerial capabilities. It's really very good, a person who knows how to manage a group. The Scrum Master represents management to the project, is responsible for enacting Scrum values and practices, removing impediments, which means all obstacles, ensure that the team is fully functional and productive. This is very important. Again, from experience, we do have some teams which, unfortunately, at the beginning were they all functional, but till the end, toward the end, some members became unfunctional. You have to inform either first the mentor, and then you can inform me. We have to do something on time to make the group again to work as a whole, because the Scrum Master relies on the team. If he has 3 people to do the coding, he cannot work with 2 people. Okay? Which means that it's important ensure that the team is fully functional, and if something happens earlier, if you cannot resolve the problem, needs to contact the mentor and the lecturer. Enable close cooperation across all roles and functions, and shield the team from the external interferences. Okay. Scrum team, typically 5 to 10 people. As I said, this is in a small companies. They're cross-functional, question answers, programmers, user interface designers, and so forth. Unfortunately, in our class or our subject, we cannot have luxury to have different members or members with different capabilities, but try to compose the group with people who have different skills. Try, because it will be useful, one to be very good coder, one to be nice person who knows how to write the proposal or the project, the report, and person who knows how to keep the administration going. Like, you have to somehow find form a cross-functional group. Members should be full-time, and many maybe exceptions like system admin and so forth, but we won't have that. Teams are self-organizing. What to do if a team self-organizer, someone is of the team? Ideally, not this, but really rely possibility. But as I said, if the team is self-organizes, but someone is out of the team, has to report. A membership can change only between sprints. You can have, like in one sprint, the team members will work on, like the task will be divided according to their knowledge, but then in another sprint, maybe they can swap roles, but do not change the people and their tasks and assignments within the sprint. Ceremonies. During every sprint cycle, there are reoccurring ceremonies. Every sprint cycle. Sprint planning meeting, sprint, daily scrum, sprint review meeting. Sprint planning meeting, you do have product backlog, team capabilities, business conditions, technology and current products. This is about general about the project. Then here you have the team, product owner, scrum team, customers and management. And then you have a sprint goal and sprint backlog, which means that in the sprint meeting you decide, you have all inputs, and then you decide how to set up the sprint goal, which means define the sprint goal, and you create the sprint backlog, means that how to divide them, how to put the sprints, the set of tasks in the sprint in a list. Part of the sprint planning is the first part is creating product backlog, which means that you have to define the product and then define what has to be done in the product. Then determine the sprint goal, and then because it's a sprint planning, which means that you took one component from the backlog and defined the sprint goal. Participants, usually a product owner, scrum master, and scrum team. Here everybody is present. This is the planning part, but in the second part of the planning, you have only the scrum master, scrum team, and only the working team, and they are creating the sprint backlog. Actually, they're starting to work and implement things. Then you have project kickoff meeting, a special form of sprint planning meeting before the beginning of the project. Usually, this is also done with the mentor who discuss what you have understood and how you will start to work on the project. A sprint, as we said, is a month-long iteration during which a product functionality is incremented, okay? Can be, in our case, will be 2-week long increment, okay? No outside influence can interfere with the Scrum team during the sprint, which means every 2 weeks you can ask for help, but nobody can suggest you to change something within the sprint. You have your plan, stick to the plan, and deliver. And each sprint begins with the daily Scrum meeting. It will be good to have daily Scrum meetings. You will see how you will organize them, but it's really recommended. Daily Scrum meetings will be daily 15 minutes stand-up, not problem solving. In the daily Scrum meetings, it's not to solve problems, but to answer the questions. What did you do yesterday? How are you doing? Just keep following the progress. what you'll do today, what will you do today, and what obstacles are in your way. Very quickly, every member of the team can say, I'm working on this, I was done this, I'm working currently, I don't have problems, I have problems, please help, and so forth. But every day, then the group will be on track. Daily Scrum is not a problem-solving session, we said, it's just catch up. Who is doing what, and is he doing the right thing? It's not a way to collect information about who is behind the schedule. It's not, because maybe some tasks are not equally divided, that some people will spend more time to do something, but only just to report, I'm still working on this problem, I have come so far, and I'm planning to do this very quickly. And it's a meeting in which team members make commitments to each other and to the Scrum Master. I really ask you all students, be a responsible member of a group. Try to do your best to develop something interesting, because each project implementation is interesting stuff, it's exciting actually. It's a good way for the Scrum Master to track the progress of the team. Having daily meetings, the Scrum Master can really have idea what is happening within the group. If you meet only twice, let's say, every week, or only with a demo, it will be too late. He can't help you. Sorry, nobody can help the team. It's important to have meetings. Now, Scrum frequently asks questions like, why daily? How does the project get to be late, to be a year late? Because you have to do day at a time. Then can Scrum meeting be replaced by email status reports? No emails. It's good if you can have face-to-face meeting very quickly. Brief meeting, 15 minutes, maybe lunchtime, I don't know when. And just entire team sees the whole picture every day, creates peer pressure to do what you say you will do. It's not that they force you, but it's good when you hear that all members are working very hard. Definitely you want to work hard too. Anyway, okay. Sprint review meeting, as we said, is not about discussion. It's about team presents what is accomplished during the sprint. They demonstrate. Typically takes the form of a demo of a new features or underlying architecture, something working, prototype working. It's informal, it's 2-hour peer time rule, and participant consumers, management, product owner, and other engineers, just to demonstrate how far you are going. Sprint retrospective meeting. We have Scrum team only the member of the team. Feedback meeting, 3 questions are: start, ideas for the next sprint, stop, what didn't go well, and continue what went well. Which means that with this retrospective meeting, actually you try to find out, are we really doing what we plan to do? And if something goes wrong, let's fix it. Let's stop doing this and do something else. But continue, if everything goes well, just proceed. Okay, and don't skip this, because it's really retrospective, just quickly looking at the status of the project development process. Okay, now we'll take a look step by step. The product backlog is a list of desired work on the project. When you get the project, you discuss and design a set of things, components which have to be developed to be able to implement what the project requires. Usually it's a combination of story-based work, which means that the user tell what is required, and task-based means what we have to do, implement to be able to develop this project. Usually the project backlog is prioritized list of things. It's a list of prioritized by the product owner, because you will be a team. Actually, the Scrum Master kind of, or whole team will be product owner, but you prioritize what has to be done. Sometimes with the Scrum Master together, sometimes only the group, and typically a product manager, marketing, internal customer, and so forth. Product backlog, requirements for a system expressed as a prioritized list of backlog items. Is managed and owned by the product owner. Usually you keep spreadsheet, or you keep a Jira typically, or maybe you keep the record in Trello, wherever you need to see. And usually it's created during the sprint planning meeting. Okay? Can be changed and reprioritized before each sprint planning meeting. Simple picture, hope is visible. You see, you can enroll and enlarge later, but what you have, the sample product backlog is you put the task, what has to be done, and then you prioritize them, like what is medium difficulty and medium requirement, then what is high priority and what is very high priority, which has to be done as at the beginning or it must be done earlier. And then you put expected time and you define who is responsible to doing what. Okay? You put the names of the team members. And actually, this way, you keep track also from every meeting what was assigned to him, to whom, and then you also put the expected time, and at the end, you can compare the use time compared to the expected time. You see, are you on track or not? Maybe sometimes you'll be faster. Okay? From sprint goal to sprint backlog, Scrum team takes the sprint goal and decides what tasks are necessary. Teams self-organize around how they will meet the sprint goal, and manager doesn't assign tasks to individuals, which means that the groups, nobody will be, like the Scrum Master is responsible to take, to make the group to work as a whole. But every group member should say, I will do this, like, do not wait that the task managers, the Scrum manager say, you must do this, you must. No. Every Scrum member, so I'm good in this, let me do this, or I can do something else. Which means that he self-organizes. The group, they can shift roles, they can try different things, and they see in which part of the implementation the best, and they do that. Managers don't make decisions for the team, as we said, but they can decide priority, and sprint backlog is created, okay? And you know what you have to do. And sprint backlog during the sprint changes. Team adds new tasks whenever they need to in order to meet the sprint goal. Like you can plan what has to be done, but maybe you haven't thought of everything, and then you can add new tasks to be able to implement something and to be working. Team can remove unnecessary tasks, and sprint backlog can only be updated by the team. The sprint backlog and sprints are only managed by the team. Estimates are updated whenever there are new information, estimates of the time required to finish the thing. Sprint backlog, a subset of product backlog items which define the work for a sprint. It creates only by the team, as we said. Each team has its own status and should be updated every day. Okay? How you're progressing with the work. No more than 300 tasks in the list, but because your projects will be smaller, don't worry, there won't be so many. And if a task requires, say, more than 21 points, to be precise, a small number of points to be discussed, it should be broken down. Team can add or subtract items from the list, and product owner is not allowed to do that, which means that only the group is taking care of the sprint, because this is a part of the project where the team has to design and implement something and test something and show to the product owner. Sample sprint backlog. This is from those Allianz, Agile Allianz. You have many examples how to create this. Please look at this and take note what you have to keep track of. Here you have every 2 days, they have meetings. Where are you? Every 2 days here, apparently they have meetings, and they have put estimated hours, because you need to estimate how many hours some things can be done. And maybe the first meeting, a second meeting, you can see how the team members are working, and you can start to rely to say, okay, he will need only 10 hours or 12 hours or 2 hours, which means that it's good to keep track of how many hours you will need to finish something to be able within 2 weeks to test the product, okay? Now, how this can help. Sprint burn down chart usually depicts the total sprint backlog hours remaining or points remaining per day. On the chart, you draw how many things you have implemented and how many you have to implement still. You will see the example. Shows the estimated amount of time to release. Ideally should burn down to 0 to the end of the sprint, and actually it's not a straight line, it can be bumped. An example of the sprint burn down chart means you draw every meeting, you see where are you. Let's say you have 700 or 750 points to finish, to implement, and you see how many you have implemented in every time point, every meeting. Like you need two meetings to be able to implement some of the things. Maybe you have got additional requirements. Then you have implemented, let's say, till, I don't know, from 750, let's say, 100, but still you have 600 to go. You have 660, 619 to go, 3, and at the end, 108, 4, and then at the end, at the let's say, 35th of May, you have started 3rd of May, at the end of May, you have finished everything. It's good if you can keep this, because this chart shows you visually how many things, how much things still you need to do and how many hours you still need to spend. Okay? And you have a lot of examples of those charts, as I said, on the links provided. Release burn down chart, okay, this is while you're working, sprint burn down chart, but then release means when everything is done, yeah, will the release be done on time? Which means that to be able to plan this, you have on x-axis you have the sprints, and on y-axis your amount of hours remaining. Here is during the sprint, the tasks, but you can do exactly the same, the release chart, which means that we have 5 sprints. The first sprint requires so many hours, the second is so many hours, and as you implement, you go down, and when all the last sprint is finished, it's done. Okay, it will help you. And you have product burn chart. It's a big picture view of the project progress. It's also good if you can draw those charts for you as a team. But the product charts, this is about, you can see what exactly, this is from real application. What is showing the actual time needed to do something, average time, high and low. And you can see the actual time is a little bit jumping up and down. And the average time is somehow it's going down, which is good. And here you have noticed that release began in 150 points. Like you have 150 points to do for a project. Then of estimated work to complete. Okay. Then you have after one sprint, the team completed only 10 points. After one sprint, only 10 points, and it's here. Then you have below even the lowest expected velocity, unfortunately. Then you have, at the beginning of the second sprint, you have still 140 tasks to go, points of work to remain. And at the end of sprint 2, however, the team had made up ground and was tackled closer to the highest expected velocity with 100 points work, which means it immediately jumped to here. In sprint 3, he already had a little bit less, and the team continued to plot the number, and at the end, they have finished. But again, it shows exactly the process of how the work was implemented, how much time was needed, and what was done. And their product, these burnout charts are quite useful. It's visual aid. Now, this about the Scrum methodology. Now, is it really only for small companies, only for few people, teams, or can be done in a big company? What do you think? Are they scalable? If you have a big company, you have few products in parallel. Sometimes the products are dependent of each other. Can you use Scrum methodology for big company? What do you think? Ideas? No? Okay. It can be used because it's scalable. Typical Scrum teams 5 to 10 people, but there are examples with 800 people within the Scrum group. And this is called Scrum of Scrums, or what's called Meta Scrum, okay? And frequency of the meeting is based on the degree of coupling between the packets, which means that you have few products which are somehow dependent, and then you decide which teams have to meet together. And one picture is here, like you have few teams, working team A, team B. You have few teams working using the Scrum methodology, each team, but then you have one representative for each team which meets regularly to see to report how their part of the project is going on, which means that, like here you have the product backlog, and here you have high priority things. And as you can see, you have high priority, 2 teams are working on high priority things, and they do exactly the same like Scrum methodology, meeting every day, meeting every 2 weeks to finish the sprint and so forth. But in parallel, the representative for each team are meeting together to say, aha, my part is of, like, we have come to this point, we come to this point, and when they can join together and release the product, which means that actually it is possible to have scalable or to use the same methodology to be in big companies. Okay? Although it's very interesting new methodology, tested that is very effective and efficient, there are some advantages and disadvantages. Now, the advantages are what? The completely developed and tested features in short iterations. This is what we want. Because we have only 10 weeks, we have very quickly to develop part of the projects and put together and have a complete working application. Simplicity of the process, very simple. Clearly defined rules. If you read, there will be links to the Scrum guide, user guide, and you have defined everything, even you have examples. Clearly defined rules. If you follow the rules, definitely you will finish on time and the way it should be done. Increasing productivity, you divide nicely into parts, and then as you go, as the time proceeds, you are more and more productive. Self-organizing. Each team member carries a lot of responsibility. This is very important for the team members, and improve communication. Everybody knows how to communicate with the members of the team and outside to the user. Drawbacks, undisciplined hacking, no written documentation. But please, we need written documentation. Although we have a very short time, we need to produce written documentation at the end, and a variation of responsibility. Sometimes they don't obey the rules, what the Scrum methodology requires, okay? Now here, I have also put useful links, actually all references I have used to produce these slides, plus some other. Please take a look at them, and I will just open some for you, which I have, like what is interesting is this chart, but if it can be bigger, maybe, let me check, I can put it. It's a very interesting comparison of the different methodologies, subway of methodologies. This document will be attached. Like the Scrum methodology, how delivers the product, and you have also extreme programming, how it delivers the product, and you have different technologies. But the Scrum methodology, you have this subway. It's interesting chart, take a look. It's interesting to take a look. And you also have here the example of the, let me check, this was the example of, this example, Agile Project Time Plan, yeah. This is the Agile Project Time Plan. Also, you can download from the Agile Alliance. But you take a look how this is done and try to keep similar things during the project process development. You have all tools, just you copy and paste and just enter your data in, and it will be really good for you, okay? Do you have any questions? As we said, I know that you're hearing now, but we'll repeat few things which are very important for you few times, and you have available literature and sources where to check and look, and please follow the Agile technology for development. What time is it? Let me see. And now, this is for today. If you have any questions about the group formation, it will be very good if you can start to think about the group members. Now, I heard that you don't have access who is enrolled in which lab. If I'm able to give you some ZIDs, will it help you or not? In which lab, which students are enrolled? Will it help you? If not, next week we'll start to form the group. Do you think it will help you if I extract the ZIDs of each lab or not? Can you access the member? No? Okay, then okay. We see. Yeah, can you? Who said it? How? You put it on the web. Sorry, no web CMS? No web CMS? We'll give you the student. Okay, look, I'll try to see how can I speed up the group formation, but if not, maybe, okay. We'll see what can we do by that, but maybe by Thursday I'll try to do something, at least to have a list that you might take and look. Another thing is that by Thursday we will publish the projects, topics, And also, as I said, Thursday and Tuesday, next week we'll have some people who have originated the project topics to come to explain more, okay? Some topics are already done a few times, and we have some new topics. All topics are very interesting, and really, I think you will enjoy working on them. But by Thursday, you will have the topics presentation. We'll discuss about that. And if you have any questions, just put question answer, but don't be upset if I don't reply immediately, because I have a lot of organizational things this week, but I will get on top of that and I'll start to reply. Any questions? Think who will be able to be a Scrum Master, think like, and then just, I don't know, form a group, and then, I think you should be able to form a group. Yeah, you should be able to put your name, group name, and form a group, and then see who will join you, if you don't know the people. Okay, thank you.